About a year ago, I made a video talking about how I take off-the-shelf utensils, value add them, engrave them, and sell them for my small business. Today's going to be an updated video on the processes as well as telling you where exactly you can find these. Hey everyone, my name is Sam and welcome back to Samcraft. That's right, in today's video I'm going to be giving you more secrets, more behind the scenes and small business information on where to find these utensils, as well as my whole processes for taking them from raw, off the shelf, not really good quality, and turning them into something that I would consider pretty good quality. So I've pulled all of the raw utensils for today's customer orders, and I'm going to bring you guys along for the full process. When I buy them, they are not great quality. They're okay quality, but they're not quality that I would say is quality. I want to bring you guys along, like I said, step by step from shelf product to end product. My first thing that I do is take the utensil, a cup of plain water, a rag, and I wet the utensils. I don't dunk them, I don't soak them, but I do wet them down to make the grain pop. This is a very important step to getting yourself nice, smooth utensils, but also utensils that once they arrive to your customer's home, they use them for that first time, does not become fuzzy, and they think, "Gah, what did I buy?" Since I'm still in the early stages of getting my workshop set back up, I am working out of totes. I have a tote here of all the ones pulled for today. I'm going to wet the grain and toss them into this tote. It's an easy way to keep things organized, keep them mobile, and as I put them here, I can move them elsewhere and not just have things laying around or falling all over the place. In one of my other videos, I talked about how a lot of you, my viewers, told me about a contour sander and how I really like it. Here's a look at a new one that I've loaded up. This one is 320 grit. I wrote it on here with a Sharpie because otherwise I don't have any indication, and it's a way for me to remember. I have this one set up with 320. The one in the drill press right now is 220 grit, and those are the two grits that I find work fine for these pre-made utensils that I get. Once you get a little bit of use on them, you'll see they kind of fuzz out. They do have a mop appearance. I guess that's why they are called sand mops, and they do very well. If I had any complaints about these, it's that they don't seem to last very long. I tend to only be able to get about 25 to 30 utensils on one set of sanding mops until I need to take them apart and reload. From that sense, it's a little expensive from a sandpaper consumption standpoint. However, it is a huge time and labor saver, so keeping that in mind, I still think I'm coming out ahead in the end. I've only found one place to get these from where they seem like they're really good quality. I'll put a link to it down below. It's not an affiliate link, but it's a link to the store. It is Klingspor's Woodworking. They are based in the US, so if you're not in the US, I'm not sure what to really do about you. It seems when I do any kind of searches online for contour sanders or sanding mop or flap sander, it's either something that mounts in a bench grinder or something that mounts in a Dremel or small rotary tool. I haven't found anything that is of this size and application, just yet at least. Alright, I think my utensils are dry enough for me to begin sanding. Like I said, I will start with 220 grit, run through all the utensils, change out my sand mop, and go to 320 grit. After that, I have found that utensils are perfectly fine. 320 grit is enough for this application in my experiences. So we'll go ahead and hit that up, do some sanding, and then we'll start engraving after that. All in all, not too bad. About 15 minutes for 15 utensils, given that's the first stage of sanding, so about 2 minutes per utensil for sanding is really not bad. In addition, the drill press is a quiet machine to hear running. It's not droning on and screaming at you like a palm sander might be, or a shop vac. Although, speaking of shop vac, I do need some dust collection in here. Right now my box fan is just blowing it kind of around and out the door. That's not a good solution. I'm gonna go ahead and change out my drill chuck to the 320 grit and then run through the same procedure with all the utensils. I'm not gonna bring you guys along for that because honestly, it's gonna look identical to what you just watched. So I'm gonna do this and I'll see you guys whenever it's time to take these over to the laser engraver. Alright, everything is sanded up. I have my work list here on a little notepad. This is what I use to keep track of customer orders, design it inside the house, which is what I do on Lightburn at my desk. Design it, save it, check mark, bring it out here, pull the utensils, make them, check mark, and then engrave them, check mark. That way I don't lose track of things. I don't need to drag my computer out here, and I can just pre-design, load things, and run as fast as possible. Definitely one of the things you want to try and do to be efficient is to do batch processes. Obviously, get all the utensils at once, pop the grain at once, sand at once, and then engrave at once. At least that's my personal workflow and what I find to work pretty good, given my current power situation. What I mean by current power situation is the fact that this is my power here for the shop. It is an off-grid solar array system with a battery bank and inverter, and it will not cleanly provide power for the laser and drill press at the same time. Yeah, that's right, cleanly provide power. Even though it is a sine wave inverter, for whatever reason, if I'm running the laser and I use the drill press at the same time, it causes the laser to freak out and it quits doing its job. It'll mess up. So I've learned, do one thing at a time. The laser is particular. Don't cross the streams. Now that issue could probably be solved if I separated the laser and drill press onto different circuits. I think that would probably get rid of any kind of issues. But for now, with my power situation and setup, it's just one thing I've learned to do this, then do that. So I've just loaded up my first file. I get asked a lot about this keyboard and tablet setup. This is a Fusion 5 tablet that runs Windows' operating system natively. It's what's required to run Lightburn for the laser or Carbide Motion for my CNC. The keyboard is just a Logitech Bluetooth keyboard. It's not specific to this device. And I've had the keyboard for a long time, probably going on 10 years now. It's nice to have the keyboard because this is a small touchscreen for sausage fingers, and it's easier to just say, you know, click enter, okay, this, that, and the other, rather than having to point and click and not really hit the mark most of the times. Bluetooth keyboard also allows the USB port to be left open because this only has one USB port and I run it to the laser or the CNC. So there's a little overview of what this is. There's always links to the tablet and keyboard down below because I got asked so much about it. So definitely check down there if you want a link. Otherwise, let's load up a utensil and start making stuff. That is always so satisfying to watch. With laser glasses or through the protected shield. But seeing a design, something you design on a computer, come to fruition to become something in real life is really cool. This is a look at a customer's logo. I helped design with them. They sent me the top part, and then with some artwork that I already had on file and everything, we came up with the part at the bottom. So this one's really cool because this is not just a regular monogram. Not that monograms are regular, but you know, this was one that was a little bit extra, a little more work and fun and creativity on my part, but is also super special because this is a gift for them and one I think they're going to really enjoy. Here you can also see the great detail you're able to get with the laser engraver, especially with beechwood, which is what most of these utensils are. It is very nice. Beechwood engraves very, very well. It's also nice that it is a light colored wood, and so it contrasts well with the engraved portions and just ends up being a very nice looking product in the end. Alright, one down, 14 or so to go. So I've had this question asked me before, and I want to take a second to explain it. The question is, how do I focus, or where do I focus my laser with something such as a spoon or another utensil? What I do is find the lowest point on the utensil, put my spacer. This is for the Otor Laser Master 2 Pro. It comes with this little cylinder. Your laser may be different. But I put it on the bottom lowest portion. From the bottom portion, I focus the laser, and then I kind of look at how much of a change there is in elevation. Also, how much my design takes up the space, how far is it going to wrap around the edges, and usually raise it up just a little bit from there. It's not an exact science. I can't tell you focus it and raise it 2 millimeters, because it's not going to be the correct answer for everybody. But that is at least my process. I focus it to the lowest portion, and then depending on what I need to do, maybe bump it up just a little bit. There you go. It's trial and error. You have to figure it out and see what works best with your laser and your setup, but that is at least how I focus my laser with the utensils I do. At this point, it's a matter of rinse and repeat. I got my utensils, I just load my files, put them in place, focus the laser, and go. I'm down to the last utensil in the engraver there, and then we are done. I want to go ahead and start showing you my techniques for final sanding or touch-up sanding. Usually if the spoons or the utensils are really dished, you'll get kind of darker burn marks or engraving marks towards the edges or the higher parts of the utensils. To fix that, it's as easy as just touching it up here on the sand mop with the 320 grit, but you want to be very careful you don't sand it off. I have my settings in my engravers to go probably a little bit deeper than what you normally would see, so that I'm able to touch them up with the contour sand mop and not have any issues. In addition to the engraving part, the handles have holes in them, at least with this particular utensil they do. So I like to sand out the insides. To do that, I've taken a piece of sandpaper from my random orbit sander. I roll it into a very tight roll, kind of fish it into the hole of the utensil, and then, very carefully, because you'll take your face off, I spin it around to sand the inside. That ends up with a very nice, perfectly smooth inside. It only takes a couple of seconds, and your only risk is that you brain yourself or knock yourself in the head. And that's possibly happened once or twice, but it's a thing you only kind of do once or twice. There's a good example of the darker areas you can see engraved at the top. Simply fire up the contour sander and we'll be able to get it taken care of really quickly. See? Piece of cake. The contour sander is not cheap. I want to say the starter kits are about $45, and every time I need to order a refill, it's about $20. So it is not a cheap tool. It's not a cheap method for sanding. However, it saves a lot of labor, it saves a lot of time, and time being money, it is possibly cheaper. It's one of those things though, you invest in it. You invest in an engraver, they're not cheap. You invest in the tools, they're not cheap. But the goal is to allow yourself to mass produce or small batch produce items, and it maximize your labor and personal investment of time. That's where you get your money, is saving your own personal time. Inside this clear tote, this document organizer tote from an office supply store, is probably one of the most expensive oils you can buy for utensils. So let me carefully set this back down. A lot of people will use mineral oil for utensils, and while it is fine, it is okay, I choose to use something different that is not petroleum based, is completely plant based, and it allows me to advertise that as an upgraded finish for utensils. Here's a look at the actual cutting board oil that I use. It's by a company called Caron and Doucet, I believe that's how you pronounce it. They are based in Canada, and I buy it by the gallon at this point. It's $90 per gallon, or it's $12 per 8 ounce, I believe. So like I said, not cheap. Buying it by the gallon will save you a lot of money. However, it is, yet again, another thing where it's not cheap to start out, just like the contour sander. So I don't know if this is for everyone, but I have mentioned in the past how I use finish that is not mineral oil based, that is vegan finish, and that is something my customers really enjoy. So there is a look at it. I will put a link to this down below. You can get it from Amazon. That's the place where I get it from, although I'm sure if you are close to any kind of woodworking supply stores, they would probably have it, or possibly kitchen supply stores. Any kind of specialty stores for kitchenware, I think you may also be able to find this there. It has taken me about 2.5 to 3 hours, but I've also been talking to you guys and making a video. But my customer orders are done for the day. I've got them in my tote. Yes, my totes of organization. These are all ready. They've been final sanded, everything's been checked over, and they're ready to go take their bath in the oil. I have my box set here on top of my tour enclosure, mostly because, you know what, that's a safe, secure, out of the way spot for it to be. I'm going to go ahead and dunk these in there, let them sit for probably 30 minutes to an hour and a half, and then I'll get them out and hang them to dry. At that point, they will dry overnight. So I usually oil them and hang them up to dry and then leave the shop for the day. I try not to create any extra dust. Not that the dust is going to glue to them or adhere to them, but I just try and keep a clean environment to let them drip dry and reclaim as much of the oil as I can. And then the next day, I package them up. I always try and scoop the oil in the dish part once or twice, and then I plop it out of the way. There's a little bit of method to the madness, but not a whole lot. This is one of the larger batches of utensils I've done at the same time, so I'm going to go ahead and add more oil, make sure they get a good bath, and remembering not to spill the oil outside of the box if I can help it at all. Alright, bath time is over. My method for allowing these to drip dry, reclaim as much oil as possible, is a very simple one. I have the shelves here right above it. I've put a bunch of screws in the edge of this board. I can hang the utensils by the holes in their handle, leave the lid open, and they just drip down into the box, and I'm able to reclaim the oil while drying them at the same time. It's a down and dirty simple solution, but it's one that's worked well for me so far. Well, we've reached that part of the video, the part you've probably been waiting for. Time for Sam to tell you guys where exactly you can probably find some of these utensils at. I'm based in the United States, so my suppliers and the things that I'm going to mention are probably going to be US only. Sorry, I'm not familiar with the international market. I've never bought any utensils internationally, and so I'm not much help on that front. Here in the US, there are a couple of retail stores where you could go and get utensils. One could be Walmart. They sell the beechwood utensils. Another is World Market, and the other one, which is kind of hit and miss, is Hobby Lobby. As far as online retailers, I have not found but one that is reputable and I can kind of count on, and that is Hobby Lobby. That being said though, their utensils are considered seasonal items and are only available certain times of the years. So you've got to plan ahead, buy in bulk, buy in double bulk, and hope that lasts you throughout the year. Places like Walmart used to allow you to buy them online, but they do not offer that anymore. As far as local availabilities, it's basically what's in your store is what you have access to. Sometimes you could do online orders and store pickup, but it's hit and miss. You can't really guarantee that. You can't really build a business around it, and so it is a difficult thing to do. I am currently searching for bulk suppliers, true bulk suppliers where I can buy 200 utensils at a time, rely on it, quality is good, and continue to just use them from now on. Unfortunately, I believe it's going to put me in the realm of looking at overseas manufacturing, most probably China or possibly India. I am not sure yet where I will go, but I promise as soon as I find one, because I am searching for one, I will let you guys know. I'll put out a video, give you my ins and outs, details, experiences, and whether or not I recommend doing it at all. I did something similar with the round slate coasters last year. I ordered those from AliExpress, got them in. That was a good experience. But the problem is, after I made that video, shipping went through the roof. So things are going to be very subjective. Whether you see this video now in October of 2022, or you see it 1, 2, or 3 years later, I don't know, guys. I can't tell you what the future holds. If so, I guarantee I wouldn't be in a partially finished storage shed workshop showing you how to make utensils. But that's okay, otherwise you would miss me. So just take that with a grain of salt and realize that what may be true today may not be true today, if that makes any sense. My today is different from your today. I'll go ahead and pick on one of these utensils, pull it down from the drying screws. It's a simple solution, but that really does work. Wipe it off here and let you guys take a look and see what this beechwood looks like after it has been oiled up and everything. It definitely looks a lot nicer. It gives a nice color, a nice pop. You've got nice grain patterns, and really, just to say the word nice again, looks really nice. So there you go, guys. That's my current utensil story, how I make them, where I make them, and what they come from, and where I want to get them from, everything of the sort. If you guys got any questions or comments about anything you saw today in the video, anything I talked about, glazed over, or I don't know, didn't really come across clear about, leave me a comment down below. I definitely love to read them, and I'll try and respond to as many as possible. Otherwise, if you guys enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment saying, hey, that was awesome, thanks, or whatever you want to do. Either way, take care, and I'll see you guys next time in the workshop.